Hi, I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're here to do a fun experiment called elephant toothpaste. But first, here's a list of safety precautions.
This experiment is best done by an adult with your assistance, so make sure if you do try this, you have all the safety gear that we have.
We have gloves, aprons, goggles, and make sure you have a clean surface before you start working.
Also, another note, this experiment is exothermic, so that means it's going to release heat after it's done. So make sure you leave it alone once it's complete.
In addition, this experiment does produce O2 gas, so make sure you're not working around any open flame. Let's get started.
We will be using potassium permanganate, hydrogen peroxide, dish soap, and a food coloring of your choice.
Just before the experiment, we added a bucket and some paper towels to help with the cleanup process.
I have a solution of potassium permanganate that I'm going to be adding to the hydrogen peroxide, dish soap, and food coloring, and then the reaction will occur.
Here we are just mixing together the dish soap, hydrogen peroxide, and food coloring before we add the potassium permanganate, which will make the reaction occur.
What you just saw is a fancy term called a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction is when you take certain reactants, in this case hydrogen peroxide and potassium permanganate, to create certain products. In this case that would be water and oxygen gas, which you saw emerge from the test tube. Chemists use fancy names for these different ingredients called chemical formulas, and we get these formulas using something called a periodic table, which is basically a big list of the ton of materials on Earth. The scientific name for potassium permanganate is KMNO4, hydrogen peroxide is H2O2, water, which you might be more familiar with, is H2O, and finally, oxygen gas is O2.
This reaction was able to make such a large amount of our foamy elephant toothpaste because of something called a catalyst. A catalyst is a substance that speeds up a reaction, which is why we saw the foamy substance. In our case, our catalyst was the potassium permanganate, which was added after we mixed the dish soap, hydrogen peroxide, and food coloring.
Thank you for joining us for this fun experiment. Like we said earlier, this experiment should not be attempted alone without the help of an adult. Elephant toothpaste is just one example of what chemistry can create, so hopefully this got you excited and curious about other learning opportunities concerning this subject. Thank you once again for joining us today, and we hope that you continue to explore chemistry.